Jawahar, very warm welcome to ET Studios. Thank you so much for joining us. It's such a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you very much. My pleasure too.
Yes, we're here to deep dive into such an important topic, right? Across industries, across sectors, AI is truly transforming everything. And we are hearing how AI is the future. But, at a very fundamental level, because we are here to talk about the workforce, right?
Yes.
From a workforce perspective, what does it really take to go through these fundamental shifts that we are seeing? What is the most fundamental shift that we are observing today?
I think it's a beautiful opportunity in front of us. Just like any new tech introduction, generally, this is a tectonic shift in tech. It's not a discrete step, it's a tectonic shift. And this will unlock a huge opportunities that we possibly only dreamt of earlier. And that's the importance of agentic AI and AI that unlocks for the industry.
So, we're hearing again workforce readiness is really kind of a buzzword these days. Why is it reaching the extent to which it's reaching, right? It's truly a board level discussion as we are seeing today. Why is this such a high priority according to you?
Wonderful. Let me deep dive on the L&D aspect of workforce, right? Because that's where it comes first. How do you prepare people and how do you keep them ready, etc. Now, with AI and with agentic AI particularly,
Yes.
we are going to see a dramatic shift. What we've seen as the traditional mode of learning and development, it's been reacted. It'll move from there to being proactive, to eventually evolving to being predictive. We track traditional KPIs, which are input KPIs, attendance, completions, etc., which hardly correlate with performance.
Yes.
You will end up tracking real-time sales readiness metrics. And eventually what will happen is the L&D function, the capability building function, which has continuously been challenged to show ROI, will eventually become a strategic business critical function in any organization. And that's what we are about to unfold, and that's what we are about to see unfold in front of us.
Wonderful. Certainly, that explains why such a high level priority conversation. And, as you speak about capability readiness, help us see what does that mean truly. Surely, Streams AI is doing a lot to help organizations get there. But what does a capability ready organization really look like today?
Excellent. Let me double click on that. The more important thing is to understand how we track, how we prepare people today for the jobs. We just throw them into training, and we track attendance, we track completion scores, we track their scores after the training session, and then we magically assume that they will become performers. But that rarely happens because none of these input parameters eventually correlate to the performance. And that's because you have to make them sales ready or ready for the job more largely. And that readiness comes over a period of time, but more importantly, with intense support to each individual. And that's not humanly possible to do when you're thinking of scales of tens of thousands of people, right? And this is where sales readiness or the readiness aspect of a workforce becomes extremely critical. So, how does this change things?
Yes.
Now, eventually, what happens is you look obviously for investments to prepare your people, but not just to prepare your people one off. You've also got to ensure that you keep them maintained at a particular level and keep upskilling them on day in, day out. So readiness is a daily challenge. It's not a one-off thing. And this can only be done with a continuous intervention in place, right? So it goes much beyond the classroom sessions. And this is where there's a huge void in terms of preparing workforces, sales teams, customer success people, multiple levels of people. And that's where your capability readiness engines come into the picture. So these readiness engines are continuously observing, they are continuously diagnosing, they are continuously intervening many a times in real time and continuously adapting what they need to do and what they need to again observe and intervene next, right? So it is a continuous autonomous cycle that is happening. And imagine a large number of agents at play
Absolutely.
on a capability readiness engine, right? So, for example, if I were to tell you the day is here, not very far, the day is here when Every sales rep, and you may have tens of thousands of them on the field, has a dedicated agent, which is a constant companion coach, constantly, proactively guiding the person what to do to be able to uplift their performance.
Fantastic.
Imagine a similar situation for every team leader for these tens of thousands of people on the field, also an agent. And this agent is continuously monitoring what's happening in their territory and pointing them to where their attention needs to go most, rather than look at spreadsheets and then scratch their heads and waste time and figure out, right? It is just bubbling up exactly what you need to do. Imagine the productivity increases that you will see. And not just here, at the headquarters, which is where the game plan is being defined, but it is executed by these folks on the ground. The guys on in the headquarters are the ones are also have an agent, which is helping them do their job, preparing content, creating content, analyzing what they need to do, showing them the hotspots. Actually, at some point in time in the future, also predicting what levers to turn to be able to get what kind of sales outcomes. Can you imagine? This day is here. It's not far. It's not the future. That's what capability readiness engines do. And Streams AI is one of this capability readiness engine.
Thank you for that, for painting such a vivid picture. And, for all our HR leaders who are watching this and truly getting inspired by stories and, the entire future outlook or the present outlook as you have painted, what is the one kind of mindset shift that you think HR leaders must have in order to execute this, right? The sustained capability readiness, because it's not just a one type thing, as you said, it's a continuous process. So, what is the mindset shift that you think leaders must have today in order to execute this?
It's a very, very important, succinct topic you've touched. See, there's not much tech change happened in the L&D system. There have been learning management systems which are generally static. There have been admin tools to record attendance and completions, input parameters. And the entire best practices, entire methodologies, our entire workflows, processes have been guided by that, right? But now when you want to make people sales ready, want to make workforces ready, you've got to ensure that you are intervening as they are working in their flow of work beyond the classroom. It is generally a self-learning that the individuals will need to do. And what do they need to do self-learning wise? We can take a leaf motivation out of how people gravitate towards social media. So is there some learning from there that you can take in terms of content formats? Is there some learning from there in terms of how do you drive engagement with people, right? So there are those elements that people will have to, so they'll have to unlearn what they know, relearn stuff in the new reality. But this is a journey. Devina, you picked a very, very succinct and wonderful point in terms of this being a transformation. And every transformation is a journey. So every organization, and the world over 20, 30 years, we've been doing the same thing, same way, right? Every organization would have started off as a reactive firefighter. Every L&D organization in a new company or in the good old early days would have started off there, wherein the belief is that you need to train people and keep them motivated and tell them what to and exactly how to do this job. But that's where it starts. It slowly, gradually moves on to a next stage wherein you start putting in systems in place, but they are still ad hoc. Systems start emerging. That's the stage two. And eventually, when you have systemized things, its systems are running in, chugging in. It's a system developer mode. That stage three is where you start seeing consistency in methodologies and practices, in metrics, etc. And this is where most of the industry globally is. It's not just about India. Globally is. The L&D industry, given the tech constraints so far, globally is. Now the next jump to stage 4 and stage 5. So from here, if you start looking at capability readiness, when you're looking at continuous interventions, there are a lot of signals and data points that are flowing through. So suddenly, you have to be able to manage and understand how you make sense of all these data points that are flowing through, right? And this stage is all about ensuring you understand the linkages. There'll be new metrics, new KPIs. For example, with streams, we have invented a way to measure knowledge gaps on a daily basis. We call it the pulse score, very generic term, but it has an acronym. It is a periodic user learning and scoring expression, which correlates exactly what the person's output will be at the end when he is doing his job. It's a leading indicator. For the first time, a very deterministic leading indicator, right? So, some companies who are in this data optimizer mode in stage 4 are there. And finally, the pinnacle of it all is how are you churning out smart sales people that is continuously going there. And that's where you get into the predictive mode. So, it's a journey, and it's always navigated along with experts by your side, because you don't know what the pitfalls are, and the experts have navigated things around in the past and are able to give you a helping hand to take you along. But it's an exciting journey. Now, for the benefit of the community, for everyone, we have also created a diagnostic tool, and this is created in partnership with Mercury Goldman India. Mercury Goldman is reputed, they are a leader in sales excellence training. And so we've partnered with them on this diagnostic tool. It's available on our website. And this gives companies a clear assessment of which of these stages they are in, and what can they expect to see and do. What are the low hanging fruits from where they are to take this journey. You don't have to aim to become stage 5 on day 1. Even if you are in stage 2, jumping onto stage 3 and accelerating to stage 4 is very vital. So it's all a guide, it's all a playbook for that.
Wonderful. So, if you have to really summarize again for our viewers what it takes for leaders of organizations to identify where you're at in the capability readiness spectrum, make that roadmap to move forward, to go higher and higher. As you say, it doesn't have to be immediately up to a level 5, and ultimately really take the organization into that sustained growth, which is going to reflect all the capability readiness that every organization truly needs today.
Absolutely, you've summed it brilliantly. It's a journey that you go through, and it's a journey that is, it's a different paradigm from just a one off, once and done kind of an approach to capability building. To post that, you don't replace it. Post that, what do you do to handhold continuously and enable and reinforce people continuously while they are on their jobs, and are able to see their knowledge levels, their skill levels on a daily basis. One of the important things, human beings feel hungry, tired, so it's also natural to forget. So how do you beat that forgetting curve? It's an important dimension. How do you beat that forgetting curve is by knowing exactly what each one of these 10,000 people on the field have forgotten or likely to forget. So that's the observing. And then diagnosing exactly what part needs to be refreshed. And then intervening exactly with those 3 dimensions or 4 dimensions every day. So on Streams AI, our agent indicates to a person on a daily basis every morning the 3 things that they need to do today to stay sharp. And once they do that, they are able to see it immediately. They themselves adapt, and the engine also adapts based on what they have done. They immediately see that their scores are going up, which we have proven to have a direct linkage to their sales performance. So most of our clients have also made the pulse score a standard KPI for them to be able to drive results, right? So it's not just after the quarter that you realize, oh, these were the gaps and I should have done this, that, etc. But the important part here, when I said that instead of reactive, it will become proactive and now predictive, this is the point, that even before the month ends, if I'm able to know what corrective steps I need to take today to be able to hit my targets, and I'm able to quickly swing into action, deliver those, I'm able to achieve that. So that's where I'm productive, proactive, predictive, everything.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Before we wrap up, what is the one key takeaway or one key piece of advice that you would give to our leaders when it comes to being really AI enabled for workforce readiness, preparedness, capability readiness. Of course, AI is playing that critical role here today. So, what is
Yes.
that one key takeaway that you would leave with this perspective?
I mean, one key takeaway is to not feel shy and not feel afraid. You will have to iterate. There is no magic wand that will hit the bullseye the day one, because each organization has cultures, each organization has established practices, each organization has legacy to contend with. So, how do you naturally fit this on top of what you have should be the first point, rather than think about, oh, now what do? I may have to replace, refurbish. No, that's not the point. The point is, how do you add this on as a complement to what you are doing today and then build from there? That's the important part.
Jawahar, thank you so much for being here on ET Studios and sharing all your insights. It's really been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure too.